The bridge of the UES Harbinger hums with tension as Captain Alina Reyes straightens her uniform one last time. Today, humanity reaches for the stars not as explorers, but as diplomats. 3 ships, 1 diplomatic vessel flanked by 2 military escorts, approach the magnificent ring-shaped station where representatives of the Valaxian Confederation await. They're scanning our weapons systems. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Way whispers, his tactical display flashing warnings. "Let them look," Captain Rice replies with a confident smile. "Our guns are impressive enough to earn respect, not fear." The diplomatic shuttle docks while the military vessels maintain a respectful distance. View screens across both warships show the human ambassador stepping forward with arms outstretched in the universal gesture of peace. Then everything explodes into chaos. A blinding flash engulfs the diplomatic vessel. Alarms scream across the Harbinger's bridge as enemy vessels decloak on all sides. Sleek, predatory ships bearing markings different from the Confederation's formal fleet. "It's a trap," Way shouts over the chaos. The ship rocks violently as the first volley of enemy fire connects with their shields. Emergency lighting bathes the bridge in crimson as damage reports flood in from all decks. "Get us out of here," Reyes orders, her voice steady despite the catastrophe unfolding before her. "Emergency jump protocols. Now." Commander Sarah Chen, the navigation officer, works frantically at her console. "The jump drive needs 30 seconds to initialize. We won't survive that long under concentrated fire." Reyes studies the tactical display, noting the positions of the attacking vessels. They're arranged in a perfect geometric pattern, too perfect. "Evasive pattern Delta 7, she commands. "Full power to forward shields, then rotate on my mark." The Harbinger lurches as thrusters fire, sending the warship into a spiral that confuses the enemy targeting systems. Beside them, the Vigilant mirrors their maneuver with precise coordination, the result of countless joint exercises. They're recalculating. Y reports, watching the enemy ships adjusting their formation with mathematical precision. "Predictable," Reyes mutters. "Mark." Both human warships suddenly reverse their rotation, bringing their aft weapons to bear on the nearest attackers. Point defense lasers flare, catching 2 enemy vessels unprepared. One erupts in a spectacular explosion, while the other spins away, venting atmosphere. "Jump drive ready in 15 seconds, Chen announces. On the main view screen, Reyes watches in horror as the Valaxian representatives' deaths are broadcast across all frequencies, the footage clearly manipulated to show human weapons fire as the cause. "They planned this," Dr. Sanjay Mehta says quietly from his science station. "This isn't an opportunistic attack. It's an orchestrated frame job." "Jump drive ready," Chen calls out. "Execute jump," Reyes commands, her eyes still fixed on the horrific images flooding the communication channels. The last thing they hear before jumping to safety is the Confederation's message spreading across the galaxy. Humanity has revealed its true, savage nature. Hunt them down. No mercy. Space distorts around the Harbinger and Vigilant as they tear themselves free from the ambush, leaving behind destroyed hopes of peaceful first contact and carrying with them the terrible knowledge that Earth remains ignorant of the danger now racing toward it. As the ships emerge from jump space, Lieutenant Way conducts a damage assessment. Shields at 40%. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7. Casualties: 17 confirmed, dozens more injured. "And the diplomatic vessel?" Reyes asks, though she already knows the answer. "Complete destruction. No survivors detected." Captain Rice stands in grim silence, the weight of what's happened and what's coming settling onto her shoulders. Humanity's first diplomatic mission to the greater galactic community has ended in disaster, and now 2 damaged warships are all that stand between Earth and a war it doesn't even know has begun. Power to minimal life support only. Shut down all non-essential systems. Captain Rice's orders leave the Harbinger and Vigilant drifting silently through an uncharted asteroid field, their hulls still bearing scorch marks from their narrow escape 3 weeks ago. Emergency lighting casts long shadows across the bridge as crew members work in hushed tones, aware that even the slightest energy signature could betray their position. In the dim blue glow of his tactical station, Lieutenant Wei studies sensor readings of yet another Confederation hunter-killer squadron passing nearby. His fingers trace the holographic display, mapping their movement patterns. Third patrol this week, he observes, and they're using identical sweep formations. Not a single deviation from standard search protocols. Dr. Mehta limps onto the bridge, his arm still in a makeshift sling from injuries sustained during their escape. Dark circles under his eyes testify to sleepless nights spent analyzing salvaged Confederation technology. "Look at their flight paths," he says, pointing to the holographic display. "They're avoiding dense debris clusters entirely, even when that means leaving obvious hiding places unchecked." Captain Rice leans forward, studying the patrol routes. A realization dawns on her tired face. "Because they rely on automated navigation systems," she says, "while our pilots train for manual control in exactly these conditions." She taps her comm unit. "Captain Diallo, are you seeing this?" The face of the Vigilance commander appears on a small screen. "Already noted," Diallo confirms, her expression grim but determined. "Their predictability is our opportunity." In the ship's mess hall, now converted to an emergency medical bay, dozens of injured crew members listen as Captain Diallo's voice comes through the ship-wide communication system, explaining their new strategy. "We won't run from their patrols anymore. We'll hide where their machines fear to go." The next day, both human ships power up their engines just enough to maneuver deeper into the asteroid field. Massive rocks tumble around them, some large enough to destroy a vessel on impact. The navigation team works with intense concentration, manually plotting courses through gaps that Confederation ships would never attempt. Radiation belt ahead. Commander Chen reports from navigation. "It'll scramble their sensors, but it'll play hell with ours too." "Perfect," Reyes responds. "Take us in." As the ships slip into the charged particle field, their remaining functional systems flicker and struggle. On the Harbinger's engineering deck, Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez curses as circuits overload around him. "We can't stay in this soup for long, Captain," he warns over the comm. But neither can they. The gamble pays off. Hours later, sensors detect a Confederation patrol passing directly above their position, completely unaware of the human vessels hiding in conditions their systems classify as navigational hazards. Meanwhile, deep in the Harbinger's engineering section, Dr. Mehta's team works tirelessly, disassembling salvaged components from Confederation technology piece by piece. The makeshift laboratory is a tangle of alien circuitry and human ingenuity. Mehta's eyes widen as he examines a neural processor from a damaged Confederation drone they managed to recover. "This is remarkable," he whispers to his assistant. "Their systems are designed for perfect efficiency, but there's almost no redundancy, no adaptation protocols." He connects the alien technology to a human interface, watching as test algorithms run through the system. "They've optimized everything for ideal conditions," he continues, excitement building in his voice despite his exhaustion. Their entire approach to warfare assumes environmental control. When Captain Rice arrives for her daily briefing, she finds Mehta practically vibrating with energy despite his injuries. "I've found their fundamental flaw," he announces, holding up the dissected remains of the alien processor. "Their technological superiority has become their greatest weakness. They've forgotten how to function in chaos, and chaos is humanity's natural habitat." For the first time in weeks, a genuine smile crosses Reyes's face. "Show me everything," she says, sitting beside him as the shadow of a Confederation dreadnought passes harmlessly overhead, its sensors blind to the human ships hiding where no logical algorithm would think to look. "They're not just hunting us," communications specialist Aisha Okafor announces, her voice hollow as she decodes the latest intercepted transmission. The bridge falls silent as crew members abandon their stations to gather around her console. "They've sent a punishment fleet to Earth," Estimated arrival: 2 weeks. The news hits like a physical blow. Captain Rice grips the edge of the command chair, her knuckles white with tension. She forces herself to breathe evenly, aware that every eye on the bridge now looks to her for direction. "Show me what you've got," she orders, her voice steady despite the panic clawing at her chest. O'Kafer's fingers dance across her console, bringing up a 3-dimensional projection of intercepted Confederation fleet movements. Red markers indicate a massive battle group diverging from the search pattern, heading directly toward Earth's solar system. At least 12 capital ships, Lieutenant Wei observes grimly, plus support vessels. "There's more," O'Kafer continues, adjusting the translation matrix. "I've been monitoring internal Confederation communications. Their unified front is fracturing." She highlights a series of encrypted transmissions. These contain arguments among their leadership. The Phaeton species, they're being blamed for setting us up, but their representatives are denying involvement. Lieutenant Wei's expression sharpens with interest. A third player, then. Someone wanted this war badly enough to sacrifice a diplomatic mission. The senior officers gather in the Harbinger's briefing room an hour later. Captain Diallo joins via secure channel from the Vigilant, her holographic form flickering occasionally as radiation from their hiding place interferes with the transmission. "We have 2 imperatives," Rise begins, addressing the grim-faced commanders, warning Earth and finding evidence of who really attacked the diplomatic mission. She activates the tactical display. "I propose we split up." Vigilant makes directly for Earth. Maximum speed, minimum stealth. They need to know what's coming. While Harbinger hunts for proof, Captain Diallo concludes, nodding slowly. "One ship might slip through where 2 would be caught." "It's a risk," Commander Chen interjects. "If either ship is lost." "If both ships stay together and are lost, Earth has no warning at all," Rice counters. "This gives us 2 chances instead of 1. The decision made, crews are redistributed. Critical personnel with knowledge of Confederation weaknesses transfer to the Vigilant, while those with intelligence analysis expertise remain aboard Harbinger. Medical supplies are divided. Spare parts exchange. The ships separate with little ceremony. No one acknowledges the possibility that they might never see each other again. 3 days later, the Harbinger's sensors detect a damaged vessel drifting near the edge of Phaeton territory. The energy signature doesn't match Confederation patterns. "It's definitely Phaeton," Dr. Mehta confirms, studying the readings. "Heavily damaged. Minimal life support functioning. Could be a trap," Y cautions. Captain Rice studies the tactical display. "Or our first real lead. Prepare a boarding party." The encounter that follows is tense. Weapons drawn on both sides as environmental suits protect the human team from the methane-heavy atmosphere the Phaeton breathe. The alien commander, Kex Tura, eventually lowers his weapon first, a gesture of trust that surprises the human team. In the Harbinger's conference room, atmosphere adjusted to accommodate their guest, Kex Tura activates a holographic projector. Images of Phaeton cities under bombardment fill the air. "We were not the architects of your framing," the alien says bitterly, touching a wound on his scaled neck. "We are its other victims." Captain Rice watches silently as footage shows Confederation warships systematically destroying Phaeton's civilian centers. "Who benefits from both our peoples being blamed for diplomatic sabotage?" she asks. Kex Tura's multifaceted eyes reflect the holographic flames engulfing his homeworld. "Those who have always feared species that think too independently," he replies. "The conspiracy runs deeper than either of us imagined, and I can prove it." The UES Vigilant emerges from its final jump point with critical systems failing and hull breaches on 3 decks. Emergency transmissions flood Earth's defense channels. The enemy is coming. Admiral Helena Chen stands motionless in Earth Defense Headquarters as the Vigilant's data transfers to the main tactical display. Her silver-streaked hair is pulled back severely, her expression betraying nothing as she processes the devastating news. Around her, senior military officials from every nation watch in stunned silence. "Replay the attack footage," she orders, her voice cutting through the shocked murmurs. The holographic display shows the diplomatic disaster from multiple angles. The sudden attack, the framing of humanity, the desperate escape of the two warships. When the recording ends, Chen steps forward and manipulates the tactical interface, focusing on the Confederation fleet movements. "Their technology outclasses ours in every category," she states bluntly. "But look at their attack patterns." Her fingers trace the precise, geometric formations the enemy ships maintained even under fire. Rigid, predictable, almost algorithmic. General Santos of the Pan-American Alliance shakes his head in disbelief. "You're suggesting we can defeat a technologically superior force because their tactics are predictable?" "I'm suggesting we have no choice but to try," Chen responds, bringing up a simulation based on the Vigilance combat data. "Conventional defense is suicide, so we'll be unconventional." The briefing room of Earth Defense Headquarters falls silent as she outlines her unprecedented strategy. Every civilian vessel with an engine and room for weapons will be converted. Every pilot, military, commercial, even racing champions, will be enlisted. Skeptical faces stare back until she activates the holographic simulation. The Confederation expects to find a defenseless planet with a token military. They'll position for standard orbital bombardment, never expecting thousands of smaller craft attacking from all vectors simultaneously. Guerrilla warfare in space, General Zhao of the East Asian Coalition muses, stroking his beard thoughtfully. Audacious. Meanwhile, Chen continues, "We've received critical intelligence about their technical vulnerabilities." She brings up Dr. Mehta's research, transmitted from the Harbinger. Their neural network targeting systems have evolved without exposure to specific types of electronic countermeasures. They'd never faced the digital warfare techniques we developed during our own computer age. The room erupts into motion as the implications become clear. Orders cascade down chains of command. Across Earth, shipyards work around the clock. Space stations become fortresses. Civilian ships receive military-grade shields and weapons ripped from mothballed warships. In orbit, Captain Diallo supervises repairs to the Vigilant, now the cornerstone of Earth's defensive strategy. Engineers swarm over the damaged vessel, learning everything they can about Confederation weapons that struck it. "We're reinforcing the shield generators here and here," Chief Engineer Rodriguez explains, pointing to schematics. "Using what we learned about their energy weapons to create more resilient containment fields." Diallo nods, her eyes never leaving the distant stars where the enemy will soon appear. "How long?" 3 days for basic combat readiness. 5 for optimal performance. "We have 4, Diallo says quietly. On Earth, civilian evacuation procedures commence. Underground shelters fill with children and the elderly while their parents and grandparents train on hastily constructed simulators. Retired veterans return to service. Theoretical physicists become tactical analysts. Admiral Chen addresses the combined Earth fleet from the bridge of her flagship. Her image appears on the screens of thousands of vessels, from state-of-the-art military cruisers to converted cargo haulers. They believe themselves the hunters. She tells the determined faces before her, "Let's show them what happens when you corner a species that evolved as both predator and prey." As the first Confederation scout ships appear at the edge of the solar system, Earth's motley armada moves into position. Humanity prepares to fight not just for survival, but for its place among the stars. Captain Rice crouches behind an alien console, wiping blood from her cheek as plasma bolts sizzle overhead. The Confederation Communications Hub, a massive installation embedded in a small moon, was supposed to be lightly guarded. Intelligence, it seems, was wrong. 30 seconds until security protocols reset. Lieutenant Wei whispers beside her, his fingers dancing across the alien interface he's barely learned to operate. His uniform is charred from a near miss, but his focus remains unbroken. "Status on Team 2. Rice asks over the secure channel. In position at the secondary power junction, comes the reply from Commander Chen. The Faven rebels are with us. Ready on your mark. The plan is audacious. Infiltrate the hub, broadcast proof of the conspiracy to the entire Confederation, and escape during the resulting confusion. Simple in theory, nearly impossible in execution. Reyes gives the signal. Simultaneously, explosions rock the far side of the facility as Team 2 creates their diversion. Alarms wail as security forces rush toward the disturbance, leaving the path to the central broadcast chamber temporarily clear. Move. Reyes orders, leading her team through the winding corridors of the alien structure. The mixed squad of human crew and Faven rebels advances quickly, Wei working to bypass locked doors with captured security codes. They reach the massive central chamber, a cathedral-like space filled with holographic displays showing communication traffic throughout Confederation space. Wei immediately begins the complex process of overriding the broadcast controls while Reyes and the others secure the perimeter. Then alarm klaxons blare. Not the security breach alarm. Something different. We've been expected. Kex Tura hisses, his reptilian features tensing with alarm. The main doors slide open to reveal not regular security forces, but a special operations team led by a high-ranking Valaxian commander. His iridescent carapace bears the insignia of Confederation High Command. Captain Reyes, I presume. The Valaxian says, mandibles clicking in what humans now recognize as amusement. You've caused quite the inconvenience. We've had to accelerate our plans for galactic unification under proper Valaxian control. So it was you all along, Reyes responds, keeping her weapon trained on him. The Faden were never involved. Primitive species squabbling amongst themselves made perfect cover, the commander agrees. Though I admit, we never expected one of our targets to ally with the other. Fascinating adaptation. A firefight erupts through the communication center as more Confederation troops pour in. The humans, despite their inferior weapons, demonstrate battle tactics that bewilder the alien forces, feints, ambushes, and sacrificial maneuvers that defy the probability calculations of Valaxian combat computers. Kex Tura, fighting alongside Reyes, takes a plasma bolt meant for her. As he falls, he presses a data crystal into her hand. The evidence, all of it, my people have been gathering it for years, he gasps, green blood seeping between his scales. The Valaxian High Command has been eliminating any species showing too much independence. Wei calls from the central console, his voice urgent. Captain, I can't complete the full broadcast setup. Their countermeasures are too strong. With security reinforcements closing in, Reyes makes a desperate decision. Forget the explanatory message. Just dump the raw data packets to every ship and colony in Confederation space. That'll just be fragments of evidence without context. Why protests? They won't understand. They don't need to understand yet. Reyes interrupts. They just need to start asking questions. Wei nods and executes the command, sending thousands of data fragments, images of secret meetings, recorded conversations, military orders, flooding across every communication channel in Confederation space. As they fight their way back to their ship, the mortally wounded Kex Tura drags himself to the facility's power core. With his last strength, he initiates an overload sequence, sacrificing himself to destroy the facility and give the humans time to escape. Captain Reyes looks back once as her team boards their shuttle, watching the communication hub begin to fracture as explosions chain through its structure. The Harbinger, too damaged for another jump, waits in orbit. They'll have to abandon it and commandeer a Valaxian scout vessel to have any hope of reaching Earth in time. Was it enough? Commander Chen asks quietly as they prepare to launch. Reyes closes her hand around the data crystal Kex Tura died to protect. It has to be. The first wave of Confederation warships crosses Neptune's orbit as Earth launches Operation Hornet's Nest. Instead of a traditional defensive formation, Earth's fleet disperses into hundreds of small attack clusters targeting specific vulnerabilities in enemy vessels. Commodore Tyson Grant stands on the bridge of the flagship Defender, watching tactical displays as the massive Confederation armada approaches. His weathered face betrays no emotion, though the stakes couldn't be higher. "All battle groups maintain communication discipline," he orders. "Remember your training. They're faster and stronger, but we're smarter and meaner." The first engagement begins as a converted mining vessel, the Rockbreaker, accelerates toward a Confederation cruiser. The alien ship fires a warning shot, clearly expecting the primitive craft to retreat. Instead, the Rockbreaker deploys a cloud of modified mining drones that attach to the cruiser's sensor array. Electromagnetic pulse deployed. The Rockbreaker's captain reports. Target's forward sensors blind for approximately 40 seconds. "All units in Sector 7, exploit the opening," Grant commands. 20 smaller Earth vessels converge on the temporarily blinded cruiser, concentrating fire on the exact coordinates Dr. Mehta's research identified as vulnerable. The massive alien ship shudders under the coordinated assault before its reactor containment fails, resulting in a spectacular explosion. Grant allows himself a tight smile. First blood to Earth. The pattern repeats across the battlefield as human vessels employ hit-and-run tactics that confound the Confederation's strategic algorithms. Commercial ships, their cargo bays filled with electronic warfare drones, disrupt enemy targeting systems. Atmospheric fighters, never designed for space combat, execute perfect attack runs through point defense grids by flying manually in patterns too erratic for automated systems to predict. For a brief, glorious hour, it seems humanity might actually prevail against impossible odds. Then the Confederation adapts. Their command ships begin broadcasting override frequencies that neutralize the human electronic warfare techniques. Their formation shifts, eliminating the blind spots smaller vessels had been exploiting. A Confederation battleship, sleek and deadly, disintegrates under concentrated fire from 20 smaller Earth vessels, but not before eliminating 15 of them in a single devastating volley. They're learning, Grant observes grimly as casualty reports flood in. Faster than we anticipated. The UE is vigilant, repaired and upgraded after its desperate journey home, leads a counterattack against a Confederation dreadnought. Captain Diallo's voice comes through clear on the command channel. Targeting their propulsion system. All supporting vessels, follow our lead. The Vigilant scores a direct hit on the dreadnought's engine array, momentarily crippling the massive vessel. The victory is short-lived. 3 Confederation cruisers converge on the Vigilant, their combined firepower overwhelming its enhanced shields. The ship that brought warning to Earth breaks apart under the onslaught, though not before its escape pods launch. Across the battlefield, similar scenes play out. The heroism is breathtaking. A damaged civilian transport ramming a Confederation vessel's engine section. Scientists in retrofitted research vessels using solar mirrors to blind enemy sensors. Retired military pilots pulling maneuvers in outdated fighters that no alien algorithm could anticipate. Yet humanity's numerical advantage gradually erodes against superior technology. The defense falters as key Earth vessels are destroyed or crippled. Admiral Chen receives the grim casualty reports on the bridge of her command vessel. Earth has bloodied the Confederation's nose, but the second wave of alien ships is already approaching. The planet has hours, not days, before their defenses collapse completely. "Admiral," her communications officer interrupts. "We're detecting an unidentified vessel emerging from jump space. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, in human language." Chen's eyes widen as the vessel's identity is confirmed. The Harbinger. "No, ma'am. It's a Valaxian scout ship. Captain Rice is aboard. And she's being pursued by Confederation interceptors." Hope, fragile but undeniable, flickers across Chen's face. "Get her on secure channel immediately." As the stolen scout ship races toward Earth's defensive perimeter, pursued by enemy interceptors, Captain Rice transmits a single message. "We have what we need. Prepare your systems for a galaxy-wide data dump." Admiral Chen stands before a holographic display of the battlefield, watching the Confederation ships gradually closing in on Earth's remaining defenders. The stolen Valaxian scout ship has successfully docked with her command vessel, bringing Captain Rice and her surviving crew to relative safety. How long before they break through our final defensive line? Chen asks. 1 hour, maybe less, her tactical officer responds grimly. Dr. Meta limps onto the bridge, his arm still in a sling but his eyes bright with urgency. Behind him follows Lieutenant Wei, carrying a case containing the data crystal from the Phaeton rebels. We've analyzed everything, Meta announces without preamble. Both the conspiracy evidence and the Confederation battle data. There's something fundamental about their psychology we've been missing. He activates a holographic display showing evolutionary data from multiple Confederation species. Their home environments were stable for millions of years. Few predators, predictable climate cycles. Their entire civilization evolved without the constant existential threats that shaped human development. What's your point, Doctor? Chen asks, aware that time is running dangerously short. They never developed our capacity for self-sacrifice because they never needed it, Meta explains. The concept of choosing certain death for uncertain group benefit is literally incomprehensible to them. It's not in their evolutionary programming. Captain Rice, despite her exhaustion, studies the enemy flagship at the heart of the Confederation formation. The corrupt admiral is there, she says quietly. The one behind all of this. Unreachable, Chen responds, gesturing at the massive vessel protected by layers of supporting ships. Their defenses are already adapting to our tactics. Lieutenant Wei steps forward, his tactical mind seeing a possibility where others see only certain defeat. Unless, he begins hesitantly. A single ship, running silent, might reach the flagship if we create enough chaos as distraction. The officers fall silent as they grasp his meaning. But it would be a one-way trip, Commander Chen concludes. Volunteers only, Admiral Chen announces, expecting hesitation. Instead, the command center erupts as every officer presents steps forward. The handful of Phaeton allies who escaped with Reyes's team watch in stunned incomprehension, unable to understand such willingness for self-sacrifice. This is why they feared us, Reyes realizes. Not our technology, not our weapons. They feared what we'd do to protect our own. Admiral Chen moves quickly, selecting the volunteers with the highest probability of success. Captain Reyes, her uniform still bearing bloodstains from previous battles, takes command of the mission. The officers of her original Harbinger crew join without hesitation. We'll use the stolen scout ship, Wei suggests. Their identification codes should get us close enough. As preparations for the desperate mission begin, Dr. Meta pulls Reyes aside. He hands her a small device cobbled together from human and alien technology. Psychological warfare, he explains. The evidence we gathered, formatted to create maximum impact when broadcast from their flagship. It's designed to trigger specific emotional responses across multiple Confederation species. You think we can turn them against each other? Reyes asks. Better, Meta replies. I think we can make them question everything they've been told about us, and about themselves. The volunteer team boards the scout ship as Earth's remaining vessels prepare for one final desperate offensive, not to win, but to create the distraction needed for the infiltration team to reach their target. Admiral Chen addresses the mission team through their communication channel. The fate of our species rests with you now. Captain Reyes meets the gaze of each volunteer, seeing not fear but resolute determination. What we do today will echo throughout the galaxy, she tells them. Not because we sought glory, but because we had no choice but to defend our home. As the scout ship disengages from the docking bay, Lieutenant Wei initiates the Valaxian camouflage protocols. Identification codes active. We're showing as a returning reconnaissance vessel. Set course for the flagship, Reyes orders. And may whatever gods might be watching keep Earth safe, until we finish this. The stolen Valaxian scout ship approaches the massive Confederation flagship under cover of Earth's final desperate offensive. Through the viewports, Captain Rice and her strike team watch as human vessels of every description throw themselves against enemy weapons. They're buying us time with their lives, Lieutenant Wei says softly, his fingers moving over the alien controls with practiced precision. The infiltration begins smoothly. The captured command codes grant them access to a secondary docking bay. Security protocols accept their identification as a reconnaissance vessel, returning with intelligence about Earth's defenses. Remember, Rise instructs as they prepare to disembark. We move fast and quiet. Standard formation until we reach the central communications hub. The team advances through the flagship's corridors, their stolen Confederation uniforms allowing them to move with minimal challenge. Y consults a holographic map extracted from the Phaeton intelligence data. 3 levels up, then across the central atrium, he whispers. Fighting breaks out when a security officer notices the inconsistencies in their identification markers. The humans respond with practiced coordination that confounds their opponents. Where Confederation soldiers follow standard protocols, the humans adapt instantly to changing conditions, using the environment in ways no training simulation prepared the aliens to counter. The strike team finds themselves cornered in an engine control room, cut off from their objective with reinforcements closing in from all directions. Lieutenant Wei studies the reactor controls, his expression suddenly resolute. "Captain," he says, meeting Rice's eyes. No further words are needed between soldiers who have faced death together. "How long?" she asks. 3 minutes until overload. Should create enough electromagnetic disruption to disable internal security systems for about 10 minutes. Rice clasps his shoulder. "Get to the communication hub." Y tells the others. "I'll handle this." While Y creates a catastrophic overload in one engine section, sacrificing himself to generate an electromagnetic pulse that rips through the flagship systems, the remaining team members fight their way to the command deck. Captain Rice, bleeding from multiple wounds, finally confronts the Confederation Admiral, Zex Kaltar, in the ship's communication center. The alien commander stands tall among his subordinates, his iridescent carapace gleaming under the emergency lighting. "You fight without purpose," he declares, mandibles clicking in genuine confusion. "Our victory is still statistically certain. Your species cannot survive this day." "Statistics," Rise laughs, blood staining her teeth, "are cold comfort when your children are starving. We don't fight because we might win. We fight because the alternative is unthinkable." As Confederation Marines break through the barricaded doors, Rice activates Meta's device, broadcasting the complete evidence of the conspiracy, along with recordings of Earth's desperate defense, to every ship in the alien fleet. The effect is immediate. On view screens across the command center, Rice watches as Confederation captains receive the transmission. Confusion spreads through the fleet as ships begin breaking formation, commanders demanding explanations from their superiors. "What have you done?" Zex Kaltar demands, his composure fracturing. "Something you never considered," Rise answers. "We told the truth. The battle doesn't end with humanity's surrender, or even with their unlikely victory. It ends with something far more profound: recognition." Ship by ship, Confederation vessels stand down. Many of the alien captains, seeing the self-serving lies of their leadership exposed, declare allegiance to a new coalition with Earth at its center. 3 months later, representatives from 7 formerly hostile species gather to sign the Soul Accords, establishing a new interstellar alliance founded on principles of self-determination that humans have valued since their earliest civilizations. Captain Rice, now appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community, stands at the ceremonial podium. Beside her, Admiral Chen and Dr. Meta represent the military and scientific minds that saved their world. "We came to the stars hoping for peace," Rice tells the assembled delegates. "We found conflict instead. But through that conflict, we discovered something more valuable than easy friendship: mutual respect." Across the galaxy, engineers study captured human vessels, not for their technology, which remains primitive by comparison, but for the ingenious adaptations made by a species that refuses to accept defeat. The Valaxian Confederation, once poised to dominate the galaxy, finds itself transformed by contact with humanity, learning that the true measure of advancement isn't technological prowess, but the wisdom to know when rules must be broken, when systems must be questioned, and when sacrifice becomes necessary for the greater good.